The forest was too quiet. No birds, no wind, just cold air and broken silence. Snow covered everything, the trees, the ground, and the remains of burned machines. Captain Reed walked slowly, his boots crunching the snow with each step. Behind him, his loyal dog Bolt followed, nose low, ears up. They were looking for survivors. Or maybe for enemies still hiding in the wreckage. The war had passed through here just 2 days ago. Humans versus the Zalari, a race of powerful aliens with skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed blue. Now all that remained was smoke, ash and ruined tech. Reed gripped his plasma rifle tightly. Even though the area was marked cleared, he didn't trust it. He had seen too many cleared zones turn into traps. Bolt suddenly stopped. He growled low and sharp, a sound that cut through the quiet like a knife. Then he barked once. Loud and urgent, Reed froze, raised his weapon, and scanned the trees. Bolt didn't move. He kept barking, then started walking toward a pile of metal and branches. Reed followed, eyes sharp, heart beating faster. They had found something or someone. As they came closer, Reed saw it, a shape, half buried in the snow. At first, he thought it was just another body. But then it moved. It was a Zalari soldier. She was young, or at least looked young. Her armor was cracked, one leg twisted under her, glowing blue blood dripping from a wound on her side. But her eyes were open, and she was still breathing. Reed stepped forward and aimed his rifle at her head. The war had no place for mercy. The Zalari had killed too many humans, friends, brothers, even civilians. But then, Bolt jumped in front of him. The dog growled again, not at the alien, but at Reed. It was like he was guarding her. "What are you doing?" Reed whispered, confused. Bolt looked back at him and barked once more. Then he nudged the alien girl with his nose, gently, like he was checking if she was okay. The girl tried to lift her hand, but it dropped. She was too weak to speak, but her glowing eyes locked with Reed's. They didn't look like the eyes of a monster. They looked tired, in pain, maybe afraid. Reed's finger hovered on the trigger. He could end it now, and no one would question him. But Bolt wouldn't let him. Reed lowered the rifle slowly. "This better not be a mistake," he muttered. He knelt beside the alien girl and checked her wound. It was deep, but not fatal, at least not yet. She needed help. Why was he even thinking about helping her? He didn't know, but Bolt clearly did. He opened a med pack and began treating her wound. The girl flinched at first, but didn't fight back. She was silent, strong, and proud. Not once did she beg for her life, not even a whisper. Reed looked at her closely. Her armor had strange markings, different from regular Zalari soldiers. And beneath her skin, he saw something strange, thin, glowing lines running down her neck and shoulder. It was almost like tech fused with flesh. Who was she? "Who are you?" he asked, but she didn't reply. Bolt just sat beside her, tail still, eyes watching Reed like he had done the right thing. The sun started to set behind the broken trees. Snow began to fall. Again, soft and cold. Reed looked at the girl, then at Bolt. He sighed, stood up, and opened his "Command, this is Captain Reed," he said. "I've found a survivor Zalari, female, wounded. I need evac and med support." There was a long silence on the line. Then the reply came. "Hold position, Captain. Do not engage. Await further instructions." Reed looked at the girl. She was watching him quietly. Then she spoke, her voice weak but steady. "Your dog remembers the old world," she whispered. Then she passed out. Reed stared at her, shocked. What did that mean? He whispered to himself. Bolt whined softly, still guarding her. Something about this wasn't right. This girl wasn't just any soldier. Reed could feel it in his gut, and now, because of one loyal dog, he was pulled into something bigger. He looked up at the falling snow and knew nothing would be the same again. The fire crackled softly inside the small tent. Outside, snow kept falling, making the forest silent and cold. Captain Reed sat on a crate, staring at the Zalari girl, who now lay wrapped in a thermal blanket. Her face was pale, her breathing slow but steady. She hadn't moved since she spoke those strange words. "Your dog remembers the old world." Those words still echoed in Reed's mind. What did she mean by that? How could a dog remember something like that? Bolt sat close to the alien girl, eyes wide open, ears alert. He refused to leave her side. Reed had never seen his dog act like this. Loyal, yes, brave. Always, but this was something different. It was like Bolt was protecting her, not as a soldier, but as a friend. Reed stood up and walked to the device again. He had already reported the situation once, but command still hadn't replied. It had been hours. Too long for something this serious. They were ignoring him, or waiting for something. He walked back and sat down again, watching the girl. She looked peaceful now, even though her armor was still cracked and her side bandaged. Suddenly, her eyes opened. Reed jumped slightly, hand moving toward his sidearm. But she didn't move. She just stared at him, calm and silent. "You're awake," Reed said, keeping his voice low. The girl blinked once, then slowly tried to sit up. Bolt helped, nudging her carefully. "You should rest," Reed added. "You lost a lot of blood." She didn't reply. Instead, she looked around the tent, then at the fire, then back at Reed. "I am still alive," she said softly. "Because of you," Reed frowned. "Because of the dog," he replied. "He's the one who stopped me." The girl nodded, eyes falling on Bolt again. She placed a hand on the dog's head. He didn't move away. Instead, he leaned into her touch like they were old friends. Reed watched silently. This wasn't normal. Bolt never let strangers touch him, especially not enemies. "What's your name?" Reed asked. The girl hesitated, then spoke. "Liari. I'm Captain Reed," he said. "You're Zalari, but your armor doesn't look like a soldier's. Who are you really?" Liari looked at the fire, not answering at first. Then she spoke slowly. "I was not meant to fight in this war. I was created before it began." "Created?" Reed asked, leaning forward. "Are you some kind of clone?" "No," she said quietly. "I was born, but changed. My body carries tech ancient Zalari science, not weapons. But the High Council turned us into experiments." Reed stared at her. "Us?" "There were others like me," she continued, "fused with old tech, meant to learn, observe, maybe help. But when war came, they used us as tools. I escaped." Reed didn't know what to say. Everything he had been told painted the Zalari as ruthless, but this girl in front of him, she didn't match any of that. She wasn't begging for her life. She wasn't angry or afraid. She was just honest, calm, almost sad. "I don't understand," Reed said. "Why did Bolt protect you?" Liari looked at Bolt again. "The tech inside me," she said. "It was designed to connect. Not just with Zalari, but other life. It sends out signals, peaceful ones. Animals can feel it better than people. Your dog felt it." Reed rubbed his face. This was insane. Was this girl telling the truth? Or was this some new kind of trick? Suddenly, the device beeped. Reed jumped and ran to it. A message appeared on the screen. Short and cold. "Hold the subject. Do not release. Backup en route." Reed stared at the message. Subject. Not enemy. That meant they knew who she was. And they didn't want her dead. They wanted her captured. He looked back at Liari. She hadn't moved. But her eyes told him she already knew what the message said. "They're coming," she whispered. "And not to help me." Reed felt his stomach twist. "What are they going to do with you?" he asked. Liari said nothing, but Bolt growled low, like he understood. Reed paced back and forth. He had followed orders his whole life. But now, something felt wrong. Bolt had trusted this alien before Reed even thought about it. And now, Bolt was growling at their own people. Reed looked out through the flap of the tent. In the distance, red lights blinked in the sky. A ship was coming. He turned back to Liari. "You're not a soldier," he said. "You're not even the enemy." She looked up at him. "Then what am I?" she asked softly. Reed clenched his fists. "I don't know," he replied. "But I'm going to find out." The ship in the sky disappeared, but Captain Reed knew it wouldn't be long. Reinforcements were coming, maybe hours away, maybe minutes. He had to decide fast. Inside the tent, Liari sat quietly. Her glowing eyes stared into the flames, but her mind was far away. Bolt stayed close to her. Like a silent shadow, his tail never wagged, his ears never dropped. He watched everything, as if he understood the danger even before Reed did. Reed knelt beside Liari, his med kit open again. He needed to check her wound before they moved. If they had to run, she had to be strong enough. "I'm going to clean the cut again," he said. Liari nodded slowly. She didn't flinch or complain, even as he pulled the bandage back. Then he saw it, something he had missed the first time. Beneath her skin, near the edge of the wound, a soft blue light pulsed. It wasn't just blood, it was tech. A thin line of metal, or maybe crystal, woven into her flesh. It moved when she breathed. "What is that?" Reed whispered. Liari looked at him. "My birthright," she said quietly. "My curse." Reed leaned closer. "It's inside you, all through your body?" "Yes," she said. "They call us echoes." "Echoes?" He repeated. "We carry pieces of the old machines," she said. "Tech left behind by the first Zalari. The ones who lived before the stars were mapped. My kind were born to connect, to listen to life, not destroy it." Reed stared at the glowing veins in her skin. No wonder Bolt trusted her. No wonder Command wanted her alive. He stood up and began packing his gear. "We're leaving," he said. Liari looked surprised. "You are helping me escape?" "You're not safe here," Reed answered. "Not from the enemy. And not from our own." Bolt barked once, as if in agreement. Reed opened a hidden hatch under the snow, an old underground tunnel from the war days. Not even Command knew it. Still existed. They moved quickly, Reed supporting Liari with one arm, his rifle slung on his back. Bolt moved ahead, nose down, tail stiff, guiding them inside the tunnel. The air was cold and smelled of rust. Old lights flickered as they passed. Reed led them deeper, through turns and doors, until they reached a quiet chamber. This was his safe room, built long ago, forgotten by most. Liari sat down slowly, her body weak but her eyes still sharp. "You're risking your life," she said. "Why?" Reed didn't answer right away. He poured her a small cup of clean water and handed it to her. Then he sat across from her, staring hard. "Because I've followed orders my whole life," he said. "And all they brought me was death, lies, and more orders." Liari drank the water slowly, then looked up. "You are different," she said. "I'm just tired," Reed replied. "Tired of killing people who never had a choice." He pulled out a small scanner from his bag. "May I?" he asked, pointing to the glowing line on her shoulder. She hesitated, then nodded. Reed gently placed the scanner on her skin. The device blinked, then beeped in a rhythm he had never heard. Lines of alien code scrolled across the screen, data that made no sense, but also felt alive. "What is this?" he asked, almost whispering. "It's part of something bigger," Liari said. "Ecotech doesn't just hold memory, it carries emotion, memory, even voices. My body is a library of the past." Suddenly, the scanner let out a soft chime. The screen turned blue, and an image appeared. It showed a battlefield, not this one, but older, with humans and Zalari standing together, side by side, fighting something else, something massive, made of shadow and metal. "What is that?" Reed asked, eyes wide. "That is the true enemy," Liari said. "And they are returning." Reed leaned back, stunned. "The war. All this time. It's not even the real fight?" Liari nodded slowly. "Someone wanted us to destroy each other first," she said. "And they've been watching, waiting." Reed looked at Bolt. The dog sat quietly, eyes locked on the image. He didn't bark or move, he just stared, like he understood it all. The moment broke when an alarm blinked on Reed's tracker. Motion detected up on the surface. The ship had landed, and boots were on the ground. "They're here," Reed said, standing fast. Liari stood too, weak but ready. Bolt growled low. His body tense, ready to defend. Reed grabbed his rifle, his heart racing. "Let them come," he said. "They don't know who they're dealing with." Snow fell heavier now, above the forest. A black dropship hovered quietly before landing on the ridge. Its engines hissed as armored boots hit the ground. 7 soldiers moved out silent. Masked and armed with heavy rifles, no names, no badges. Only the mark of Earth's command, a silver skull over a black sun. Down below, in the hidden shelter, Captain Reed watched his motion scanner blink red. "They've landed," he said. "They're here for her." Liari stayed quiet, but her hand tightened around the blanket wrapped over her shoulder. Bolt growled softly from the entrance tunnel. Low and steady, he could smell them now: metal, oil, and gunpowder. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They were hunters. Reed checked his rifle and looked at Liari. "We still have time," he said. "If we take the back tunnel, we can reach the old riverbed." "They will follow," Liari said calmly. Reed nodded. "Yes, but not before I try something." He tapped his cum and opened a secure channel. "This is Captain Reed, responding to command's order," he said, voice steady. "Target has been secured, awaiting retrieval instructions." The reply came fast. "Hold position. Keep the subject unconscious. No communication with the target. Extraction in 15 minutes. Reed stared at the words on the screen. They had called her a subject again. No name, no rights, no mercy. He typed another message. "Subject is conscious, no resistance. She claims to carry ecotech and peaceful intention." The screen blinked, then the reply came colder than before: "Contain her, or be removed with force." Reed's jaw clenched. He looked at Liari and said quietly, "They're not here to ask questions." Liari stood slowly, her wound still aching, but her spine straight. "I know," she said. "That is why I must not go with them." "You won't," Reed said. "Not as long as I breathe." Bolt barked once, loud and sharp. Footsteps echoed from above, getting closer. Reed pulled a metal panel from the wall, revealing a hidden case. Inside was a cloaking sheet, an old device from the First War. He handed it to Liari. "This will hide you for a short time," he said. "Stay close to Bolt. Follow him. He knows the forest better than any map." "What about you?" she asked. "I'll slow them down," he replied. "They still think I'm loyal." She hesitated, then nodded. "I will not forget this," she said softly. Then, with Bolt leading, she disappeared into the back tunnel, the cloak shimmering. As it wrapped around her, Reed stood alone now. He walked up the tunnel toward the surface, rifle lowered. "Come on." He stepped out just as the soldiers arrived at the edge of the clearing. Their black armor glistened under the falling snow, their faces hidden, voices distorted. "Captain Reed," the lead soldier said. "Where is the subject?" "Resting below," Reed replied. "She's not a threat. She's not yours to decide." The soldier snapped. "Stand down." Reed didn't move. "I've seen what she carries," he said. "She's not a weapon. She's history truth." The soldiers raised their rifles. "You are in violation of direct orders," the leader said. "Surrender the subject." "I can't do that," Reed replied. "She's already gone." For a moment, no one spoke. Then the leader gave a signal. "Take him." Reed dove behind a tree just as plasma bolts lit up the snow. He fired back, hitting one soldier in the leg. Then he ran, not toward safety, but away from Liari's path. He had to lead them off. Every second he bought gave her a better chance in the forest. Bolt guided Liari through tight trees and frozen roots. Her breath came short, her body weak, but she followed. She could still feel the connection, the hum of the old tech inside her guiding her steps. The cloak flickered as snowflakes touched it. She had to hurry. Behind her, she heard explosions, gunfire, shouting, but not fear, not from Reed, only resistance. He was fighting for her. She stumbled once, falling to her knees. Bolt stopped and licked her face, urging her to stand. She smiled weakly and pushed herself up again. They couldn't stop now. Meanwhile, back in the clearing, Reed's rifle clicked empty. He dropped it and pulled a smoke charge from his belt. With a grin, he threw it down, blinding the soldiers as he slipped away into the trees. He was bleeding, tired and hunted, but alive. Liari and Bolt reached the riverbed just as the last spark of the cloak faded. She looked back once, the sky glowing with fire behind the trees. Then she whispered, "Thank you, human," and kept walking. The riverbed was frozen and quiet. Tall trees on both sides blocked the sky, their branches heavy with snow. Liari walked slowly, her legs trembling, her breath short. Bolt stayed close, stepping carefully but confidently through the icy path. She followed him with all her strength. She didn't know where he was leading, but she trusted him completely. Behind them, the sound of gunfire faded into silence. Captain Reed had bought them time, but for how long? Liari pressed a hand to her side. The wound was bleeding again. Her cloak had burned out, the cold air biting her skin. She stumbled, falling to her knees. Bolt turned around quickly. He whined and nudged her face with his nose. Liari looked at him, her eyes full of pain. "I can't," she whispered, but Bolt didn't leave her. Instead, he barked once, ran ahead a few steps, then barked again. It was like he was calling her, demanding she stand. She didn't know why, but something deep inside responded. She pushed herself up, leaning on a tree. "I will not stop," she said. "If you believe in me, I will keep going." They walked for another hour. Then Bolt suddenly turned off the path and ran toward a narrow cave entrance. Liari followed him inside, the darkness swallowing them. Inside, it was warmer, dry, and safe. Ancient markings covered the walls, glowing faintly. "What is this place?" Liari whispered. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the wall. A pulse of light flowed from her skin into the stone. The markings lit up, bright blue and gold. It was like the cave recognized her. Suddenly, a hidden door opened, revealing a long chamber filled with strange machines, old tech Solari, but mixed with human designs. Liari gasped. This is one of the echo vaults," she said in awe. Bolt barked softly and sat near the entrance. Liari walked deeper into the chamber. The machines lit up as she passed, one by one. At the end of the room stood a glowing sphere. Inside it floated a small crystal cube, pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. Liari touched it. A voice echoed through the chamber, not loud, but clear. "Echo unit recognized. Unlocking memory sequence." Visions flashed in Liari's mind. A time before war. Human and Zalari scientists working together, creating a peace network that could link minds and hearts. Not just data, but emotion. Liari saw herself as a child, smiling, touching the crystal for the first time. She had been created to be a bridge between worlds. Not a weapon, but a hope. She fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. "They lied to us," she whispered. "They turned us into monsters when we were meant to save everything." Bolt whined and walked to her, resting his head on her shoulder. In that quiet moment, Liari made a choice. She wouldn't run anymore. She would show the galaxy the truth. Just then, a weak voice came from the entrance of the cave. It was Reed, crawling inside, his uniform torn, his arm bleeding. He looked up and smiled when he saw Bolt and Liari. "You made it," he said, coughing. Bolt barked happily and ran to him, licking his face. Liari rushed to Reed and helped him. "Sit. You're hurt," she said. "I've had worse," he replied, smiling through the pain. "I followed your trail. Or maybe just trusted the dog." Liari looked at Bolt with wide eyes. "You knew," she said softly. "You led me to this place." Reed nodded. "He's always been strange around tech," he said. "Now I know why. He led me to a truth I was too blind to see." They sat quietly for a while as Reed rested. Then Liari stood and walked to the glowing machines again. "We have to share this," she said. "We have to show both sides what really happened." Reed stood too, leaning on the wall. "We will," he said. "But first, we need to survive." "What comes next?" Liari nodded. "I will activate the echo signal. It will send the truth across every channel." Reed raised an eyebrow. "Won't that paint a target on us?" Liari looked back at him, her eyes glowing softly. Maybe, she said. But sometimes truth is worth the risk. Reed smiled and looked at Bolt. Well, boy, I guess this was your war all along. Bolt barked once, proudly. His decision to protect a dying enemy had changed everything. Asterisk. The vault glowed with energy. Soft humming filled the chamber as the ancient ecotech fully awakened. Captain Reed leaned against the wall, his arm wrapped in torn cloth. Liari stood beside the glowing sphere, her hand resting gently on it. Bolt paced near the entrance, alert, sensing danger approaching. We don't have much time. Reed said quietly, they'll scan the forest, and when they can't find US, they'll start bombing. Liari nodded, her fingers tracing the floating cube's surface. The echo signal is almost ready, she said. When I activate it, it will send a message to every ship, every soldier, every satellite on both sides. Reed watched her carefully. What will it say? The truth, Liari replied, that this war was never meant to happen, that the real enemy was always hiding, waiting for us to destroy each other. Reed thought about all the soldiers he had served with, all the people who died because of fear, lies, and power. Then let's show them, he said. Suddenly, the room dimmed. The power flickered, and the machines began to hum louder. The crystal cube floated higher, pulsing with stronger light. A voice echoed through the chamber. Warning, external interference detected. Reed turned toward the tunnel entrance, footsteps distant, but getting closer. They found us, he whispered, raising his rifle. Liari stepped away from the machine and handed Reed a small disc. This is a backup copy of the signal, she said. If we fall, this must survive. Reed took it and slid it into a hidden pocket in his armor. It won't come to that, he said. I've still got a few tricks left. Bolt growled and barked twice, sharp and loud. Reed turned back toward the tunnel. They're here, he muttered. Liari moved to a panel on the wall and placed her palm on it. A new door opened at the far end of the chamber. This way, it leads to the mountain ridge. Far from their scanners, Reed nodded. You go. I'll hold them off. No, Liari said firmly. We go together. Reed opened his mouth to argue, but Bolt barked once and nudged his leg. The dog's eyes were clear, determined. Reed sighed and smiled. Fine, we all go. As they moved toward the escape tunnel, the ground shook, explosions outside, trees breaking, engines roaring. The dropships had returned, and this time they weren't asking questions. The trio moved quickly through the narrow tunnel. It was dark and cold, but Liari lit the way with a soft blue glow from her palm. The walls responded to her touch, shifting and opening like they remembered her. We're almost there, she said. Once we reach the ridge, I'll send the signal. Reed kept his hand on his weapon, watching their back. Every step echoed. Behind them, like a warning, Bolt stayed close to Liari, making sure she didn't stumble. They reached the end of the tunnel, stepping out onto a snowy cliff. The view was wide and open, mountains in the distance, clouds low, but above them, small black dots appeared, drones scanning the area. They're jamming everything, Reed said. We need a strong enough burst to break through. Liari knelt and placed her hands into the snow. The ecotech inside her pulsed, lighting up the ground beneath her. The cliff vibrated as hidden transmitters awakened from deep underground. She closed her eyes, whispering words in the old Zalari tongue. The drones above began to react, spinning faster, trying to block the signal, but it was too late. A beam of pure white light burst from the cliff into the sky. It split the clouds and raced through the atmosphere, touching satellites, ships, stations on both sides. Every screen lit up with the same message, a recording of the true history humans and Zalari once allies, a warning from the past of a dark machine race hiding in the shadows, and the secret orders given to both sides to start the war through lies and fear. Across space, soldiers paused, commanders listened, and for a moment, the shooting stopped on the cliff. Liari fell back, exhausted, her glow dimming. Reed caught her, helping her sit. You did it, he said, smiling. You actually did it, Bolt barked, tail wagging for the first time in days. But the joy was short. One of the drones spotted them and locked on. A laser beam fired, striking the snow. Near their feet. We have to move. Reed shouted, lifting Liari in his arms. They ran into the trees. Bolt ahead of them, leading once again. Behind them, fire rained from the sky. But the truth had already spread. Across every star system, eyes were opening. The war was cracking. And one dog, one human, and one enemy-turned ally had started the change. Snow still fell from the sky, but the world was no longer quiet. Ships moved slower now. Patrols stopped firing, and across systems, something new had begun out. The echo signal had reached every command post, every captain's screen, every soldier's helmet, and for the first time in years, humans and Zalari paused on the ground, far from the fires and flashing skies. Captain Reed, Liari, and Bolt took shelter in a deep forest cave. The forest around them was untouched by war. Trees swayed gently, and the only sounds were of wind, crackling fire, and the soft breathing of the three who had survived what should have been their end. Reed sat with his back against the wall, his rifle finally resting beside him. His arm had been treated with supplies stolen from an abandoned field base. Bolt lay beside him, one paw stretched over Reed's foot like a child holding onto a parent. Across the fire, Liari sat silently, her face tired but calm. Her glow was dim now, not from weakness but peace. The burden of carrying the truth had been lifted. She had shared it, and the galaxy had listened. Do you think they'll believe it? Reed asked, breaking the silence. Some already do, Liari replied. Some will fight it. But the seed has been planted, Reed nodded slowly. I used to think peace was just a story old men told to children, he said, but now I've seen it in your eyes. In Bolt's decision, and even in myself. Bolt perked up at his name and barked once. Softly, Liari smiled. He was never confused, she said. He saw what we couldn't. Reed tossed a piece of wood into the fire, watching the sparks. Fly, so what now? He asked. They'll still be hunting us. Yes, Liari said, but not forever. Some will want to silence us, others will want to find us, to understand, and others. She looked at Reed. Might want to join us, suddenly. A beeping sound came from Reed's old wrist link. He tapped it, expecting a warning or a tracking signal. But instead, a voice came through, calm, low, familiar. Captain Reed, this is Commander Tessa of the Free Union. We received the signal. We're not with Earth Command anymore. We believe you, and we're here to help. Reed sat up straight. Liari looked at him, her eyes wide. He answered quickly. This is Reed. We're alive. We have Echo 1 with us. Send coordinates for a safe meet. Already done, the voice said. You're not alone anymore. Reed looked over at Liari and smiled. You hear that? We've got friends now. Bolt wagged his tail, then stood up. Barking at the stars above the cave, Liari stood too. Slowly walking to the mouth of the cave, she looked up at the sky, now brighter with stars. Her voice was soft when she spoke. For so long, I thought I was the last of something broken, she said. But maybe I'm the first of something new. Reed joined her, standing beside her under the trees. You're not the last, he said. Not while I'm breathing. She looked at him. Do you think others will accept us? A human soldier, a broken Zalari, and a strange dog who sees the future. Reed laughed softly. If they don't, they're the crazy ones, he said. Because this right here, this is what family looks like now. Bolt walked between them. Brushing against their legs like a silent guardian, Liari reached down and placed a hand on his head. He leaned into her gently, eyes closing in trust. Far across the stars, humans and Zalari officers began speaking, not with bullets, but with words. Debates started in councils. Resistance groups formed alliances. Some still refused to change, but many began to listen. They all saw the same image, the brave soldier, the wounded alien, and the loyal dog who started it all. And in the heart of it, deep in a quiet forest, 3 souls rested, no longer enemies. No longer fugitives, but something stronger, a symbol, a spark, a beginning, because sometimes the war doesn't end with armies. Sometimes it ends when a dog refuses to obey, and a human decides to listen, and an alien dares to trust. Together, they didn't just survive, they changed everything.